let's talk about our favorite D&D settings. This doesn't necessarily have to be Wizards of the Coast D&D, but that's probably what I'm going for. If you have a different D&D setting that you can think of that's not necessarily Wizards, that's from before Wizards, because I know you've done at least one besides that, sure, but I think the original idea was Wizards of the Coast.
Wow. So, a quick rundown. You got Forgotten Realms, right? And isn't that where Baldur's Gate is at? 10 Towns in the north, which is where Icewind Dale
yep.
is at, and where all the Drizzt novels were at. You've got
Avernus.
Well, Avernus is actually Forgotten Realms. You start in Baldur's Gate and you descend down into Avernus, but I guess you could consider the 9 levels of hell being another.
The name.
Huh?
Now I get the name. Descent into Avernus.
Yeah.
I'm just being an asshole. I'm sorry.
I get it now.
You could shorten it to Anus.
Anus.
Descent into
Anus.
No, I'm not going there.
It's brown.
There's Eberron, which is where artificers came in, a lot of airships, magical train system, a lot more technology involved in the magic in Eberron. Warforged came from Eberron. There's Wildmount.
There's
Greyhawk, which is the only recent thing that I'm aware of that Wizards of the Coast did in Greyhawk is Saltmarsh. And they have kind of not touched Greyhawk for
ever
30 freaking years.
And I believe there's a blanket ban on designing settings in Greyhawk on DM's Guild.
You can't do it, but you can do peripheral to Saltmarsh campaign. But you can't just put something out there for Greyhawk.
Which has led a lot of people to think
they're coming out
with something.
But we've been thinking that for 5 years.
Things come out.
We're knocking on the door of D&D 5.5.
They just did the Feywild, right?
They did.
Space Jammer is coming out.
Spelljammer.
I just shouted out Amber the Space Jammer on Twitter and Twitch, but unintentionally, but cool people. So that's another setting. I guess you could consider Strahd and Barovia as a separate setting because it's a different plane of existence.
Wouldn't it be Ravenloft? Isn't it in Ravenloft?
Ravenloft, yes. So there's a bunch out there. So what about you, John? What's your favorite setting?
I'd have to say Wildmount. I've never even seen Critical Role. I have tried to get into it, but there's so much. And being as it's not something I can watch with the kids is what I'm trying to say. And most of my time is spent with the kids. So I'm not really able to.
It's that kind of dedication that gets you plastic flowers. And
it is.
Exactly.
And it's at this point, there's 9 million hours of Critical Role to catch up on. And I thought about when they started the newest one, just watching from one, and I never got caught up with it. But I love Wildmount because there is ample political intrigue without being racist.
Which is a plus.
It's not okay, these guys are evil, these guys are good, and, if they don't look like you, they've got to be evil. It depends on where you're at and where your perspective is. Of course, the high elves in a particular kingdom are going to think a different kingdom that they're at war with are evil, but it's not because of their race, it's because of what they're doing and who they are at odds with, not because of intrinsic stuff. And then you have the Chronergy and Graviturgy wizards, which I would love to get playing on some of those things because they are really cool. I've used it a little bit in the monsters I've thrown at you guys in our home game, but one day I would like to play it.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the Wild Mount campaign that we're playing. Like, I've enjoyed it. It's been hard keeping track of all the places we've been. I'll be honest, but it's very cool.
I've tried to set it up so that you can go from place to place if you wanted to pretty quickly with the transport stones. Fast travel, basically. And the good thing about that is there is a setup for an epic war campaign. But if your players aren't interested in that, which you guys didn't seem to be, you can do other things. There's a pirate coast type area, and there's an icy area that you could probably work in some of the Icewind Dale stuff from, or the
Right.
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
I've been enjoying the Wild Mount campaign too, and I know we didn't go, hilt deep in the into the political stuff, but it's still cool to have that political intrigue and political machinations going on in the world, because it still affects us as we go into different towns.
It's been affecting how we make
is
choices.
this Kryn or is this, I forget the other one, Dwendalian Empire, yeah. And so while we didn't like dive headlong into let's get into the war stuff, we're doing other stuff. The political landscape is coming into play everywhere we go. To see that kind of world flushed out around you, we really hadn't experienced that in any of our other campaigns, so it's really kind of cool. I like it a lot.
It gives you a lot of good backstory that you can work in like that, where it doesn't have to be the focus of a campaign if your characters, if your players don't want. I almost said parents, I guess. I don't know.
If your parents don't want you
if your parents don't want you to, you don't have to go out after dark. But and also part of it allowed me, because of the big epic god war that happened back in the day, the magics in the area are pretty volatile. So you can bring in people from past campaigns, and it's kind of like, I don't know what happened. A rift opened, and
we did
suddenly
that. That was
I was here.
I loved that. That was like the best. I don't know that I have a favorite setting, but I know that I very much would like to play, like on my bucket list, to play like Curse of Strahd, Ravenloft. I really want to play that. We haven't really presented an opportunity to play through that just yet, but I really, really want to play that one.
Well, we have the book.
I know.
And, you know how you really, when you really, really want to play something, the way you get to play it is decide, okay, I'll DM it, damn it.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's going to pick up the book to start reading?
That's true. But to me, that seems like a really fun kind of dark setting, and I really want to play that one.
It is pretty cool. I played it online, but what I think I've realized from watching and listening to other people talk about Ravenloft is that there is an infinite number of ways to play through Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
So having played it before would not deter me from playing it again.
Right.
Because we made choices that a new group would not make, and there are so many things we decided not to even go check out after knowing about them, and made a beeline for something else. So
yeah,
you could even reskin Strahd as somebody from Twilight.
Glittery. Yeah, thank you for that. But no, that I don't know that I have a favorite setting, because I do a lot of homebrew, but I really want to play Ravenloft. Like I don't know, something about it really strikes a chord with me, gets my blood rolling. Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I would probably say Greyhawk, because I played a lot of Greyhawk way back in the early 80s. And then when we moved to 5e, we wanted to do a pirate campaign, and we were just going to do it. And I was starting to work out, how would you do ship-to-ship mechanics,
talking about the mechanics
and all this stuff. And then I was in Books A Million, and what's this? Goes to Salt Marsh. I pick it up and flip to the back, and there are stat blocks for ships and how to run ship campaigns and combat and all that stuff. And I'm like, I guess we're converting to 5e, and because this is going to save me so much time and cost me so much money.
Right.
But then reading it, it's like, oh, this is in Greyhawk. And then I went on DM's Guild because I'm thinking, I went and off of eBay or something, bought those big 4 posters of the world of Greyhawk and put them in frames and went on DM's Guild. Like, okay, let me get some more. Nope.
Nothing.
You are not. Thou shalt not speak the name Greyhawk on DM's Guild.
You've got to think there's got to be something legally holding them back.
I wonder if it's something to do with Gygax or something like that.
Could be, or they had some things with different authors on different things, whatever it is. But I loved it. And even though you can't put it on DM's Guild, you're still free to do all the homebrew you want.
Yeah.
And you can find a lot of source material from like 2nd and 3rd edition. And then you just have to worry about how to convert it to 5th edition. But converting is really not that hard.
Especially if you don't care that much about doing it right.
You're just stealing ideas.
Yeah, and reskinning it.
and stuff from before. Like, yeah.
It's really not as easy than Call of Cthulhu, but it can be done.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to like meticulously take a Greyhawk adventure from back in the day and make it into 5e, you got hours and hours and hours of work in front of it. If you want to read through that adventure and say, okay, now I'm going to play this in 5e.
Easy.
And then just ignore all the monsters in that thing and go find the 5e counterparts to those in the monster manual and plug them in there, drop them in, you're ready to go. So
okay, that's what I did with Galantry. I just read the storyline. I'd used the maps, and basically wherever it was like, rats, instead of using the fat code, I went and found rats and used that stat box. If you're trying to do a 1-for-1, you might have some problems, but as long as you understand how to be flexible with it a little bit, it's pretty easy. You can steal any storyline and reskin it over 5e if you want to.
Yeah, but so I liked it because it's nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
And then the first campaign we played in 5e was Greyhawk.
Mm-hmm. It's a good
and I wish there was more in it. There's a lot of room for that political intrigue because, there's 7 or 8, 10 different principalities, kingdoms set up on that, on the map that came.
You had us kind of starting in on it right when we kind of let the campaign die down.
Yeah.
And I do kind of wish we had gotten more into that, but I don't remember exactly why the campaign died down at this point. I think it was a mix of your new job and
burnout.
The kids, not the kids, your other children who are grown now. I should stop calling them kids, moving. I think that played into it a little bit.
Sarah and Cody had a little, small child. There was it was a perfect storm of just us being like, okay.
And after going through, I think 7 of the modules within that book, I was burnt out and ready to be on the other side of the screen for a while.
Yeah.
And that kind of, and we made that promise to ourselves that, you never keep, but I'll save those character sheets because, we'll come back to this.
Never come back to them. Never.
If we go back to it, we're all going to roll up new character sheets and we're going to start over.
I used Gronk's character sheet when I brought him into
You did. You
brought
Gronk campaign. And I was going to bring Galleon back too. There was a teaser for that, but by the time I had a spot for Galleon to come in, Tim was already in Oklahoma doing his school stuff, and I was like, I'd feel bad asking him now.
Yeah.